Sure, it has started. Okay, I think it's on. Alrighty,
We
yeah,
are on.
beautiful. Alrighty, welcome back to the Coaching Collective podcast. Today we have the traveling showman Ryan Underwood with us today, a good friend of mine who I met probably about a year and a half ago now, and we've become super close. And he's just a big guy in this industry and just a great man. Traveling showman he got as a nickname as he's known to be a bit of a seasonal competitor going around the States. But yeah, Ryan, how are you? Bring us through your previous journey, sort of what you've done previously and who you are.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate your time and generosity as always. Kind intro, mate. Traveling showman. That's what Tony nicknamed it at the start of last year, wasn't he?
Hmm.
Because I stupidly did 6 shows in 5 weeks in 5 different states and dropped about 7 grand in the process. I think that record will stand for a while now, simply because it cost fucking seven
Yeah,
thousand dollars,
yeah.
give or
It
take.
was worth it for the trophy.
What's that?
Worth it for the overall.
Yeah, Perth. Hey, that was good fun. What a show. Yeah, I can tell you a story about that one in a minute too. Yeah, look, long story short, man. I turned 40 this year. Father of three beautiful children. Um, yeah, I'm up to about 30 shows now.
Yeah.
Um, 30 amateur shows. I think I'd like to hit about 50 before I retire, but we'll see, mate. I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life at 40, to be honest with you. So,
100%. This is the best
uh,
I've ever seen you.
thanks, man. I appreciate that. So I don't see any slowing down, and it's funny because I sort of can do not this year, but I think next year I can do masters. But part of me is like I don't want to. No disrespect to any of the masters, but if I'm still competitive with the younger crowd like yourself
Yeah.
and still somewhat placing, then it's like I might as well just do that. And it was something I spoke to Sam Gardner.
Yep.
Me and him have come quite close, just a father thing. I think he's 43, and I sort of said to him, "You don't do masters," and he goes, "No, well, like if I can compete with the best, I want to compete with the best." And I'm like that too. I'd rather like come last or in that middle of the pack, so to speak, with the best in the country rather than going to a different
Masters and
division
take
sort of
it
thing.
out. Yeah.
So yeah, so while I'm still in that era, so to speak, I want to keep doing that. So yeah, man. But look, long story short, my first show was when I was 19. That was 2005. Were you even born then?
I was 4 years old.
You were four. We've spoken about it before. Hey, you
Yeah.
were four when I did my first show. I've got clients that like weren't even alive when I started competing, and it's just like, what the hell? Shows your age,
Crazy,
doesn't
bro.
it? Yeah,
But
but no, it's funny, man. Like my first show, yeah, the Vix in 2005 with Tony, and I came third out of three.
okay, so that was your first show.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then my next show, I came seventh out
Hmm.
of seven. So I
Yeah.
had a great start to my career. Um, and then yeah, took a year off or 2 years off and just sort of really studied the sport and met with different people and trained with different people. And then I think I had a really good run for about 10 years. I never placed lower than second or third in a lot of different things. And then yeah, we sort of Carly, myself, mate's wife now, we sort of or I hung up the boots in 2017, so to speak, to sort of have kids and slow down a little bit, and then yeah, made the comeback in 2022, and I think I've done. I worked out the other day. I think I've done like 11 shows in 3 years.
Yeah, wow.
So it was like, nah, it'd be more than that because I did six. What,
Well, yeah,
six,
you did six last year.
six,
Yeah.
6, 9, 12, 14,
Fuck.
13 or 14 shows in 3 years. So, whoop. But I'm only going to do two this time. I know a few people are asking, it's like, how many shows you doing this time? And it's like, nah, man, I'm going to just stick to the two. So I think you and I had the conversation where, like, jokes aside, I'm looking really good and I'm really happy with how I look. So I don't want to stress my body too much by being the traveling showman again, so to speak, and traveling around and I guess putting my body under more stress. The goal last year was to do 6 shows and sort of challenge myself in that way. And I think, like I said before, that's what life's about, right? Just trying to set the bar high and I don't know, set a new standard, not for other people, but for yourself. I think I'm a big believer in that. Just trying to elevate yourself to different levels of hard over your life. And but yeah, obviously as the shows kind of went on, I did start to deteriorate. So by the time it got to the nationals, I kind of looked my worst. So the show you want to peak for, I kind of looked my worst. But you thought I was like, man, I was pretty exhausted by the end of it, and
Yeah, well, every
having to peak for
stage,
that
like,
many.
not
Yeah,
even just the shows, you had a lot of other shit stressing me out as well. So just a lot
of
on. So, but it's still good you got it done. But I think this time around, it's smart that you're doing just the two because you'll really get a great package come like nationals time.
Yeah, I think and that's what I mean. I spoke to Tony and I spoke to a few others and even Scotty and stuff. Who Scotty obviously like helps me during prep and everything. And um, yeah, I always joke and say that the 2017 Ryan was like the best Ryan. I was 32. It was just Carl's and myself. There was no kids. It was, um, I didn't have Bear Bros back then. It was just coaching and no real stresses in life. And it's funny, 8 years later, I turned 40, I've got all these things on, and it's like I'm in the best shape of my life now. I think this will beat Ryan Underwood of 2017, which the end of the day, that's all I can control. Like if you and I stand on stage next to each other, I can't control what you do. I could try to outpose you or whatever it may be, but this is what I love about bodybuilding, just to digress, is that it is always you versus you. I don't want to sound that kind of cliche. And you can sort of look at other
True though.
competitors and maybe exploit weaknesses and stuff if you really want to. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, if I just beat me from these 6 shows last year,
you win.
that's all I can do. That's
It's
I
like
can't control anything else, man. So
it's like
that's
when you're
what,
standing
yeah,
next to David Vidal. It's like, what can you do? He's an absolute like monster, but you're still in like great shape, great condition. But you can't
yeah.
do anything about that when he's 135 kilos. It's like, well, what are you supposed to do in that situation? There's only so
Outposed him. I love Dave. I just outposed him. That's all I could do. But
yeah,
yeah, but when it's a bodybuilding title and it's overall, yeah, mate. That was
good
really
stuff.
funny as well. That was probably one of my favorite pose downs I've ever done because it was just me and him and up there. And
So good.
um, when Brett, I think, goes like we sort of go on pose for pose, and Brett's obviously head judge in Melbourne and Adelaide for those that don't know, and he sort of goes, and the overall winner in a very close contest. And I kind of stepped forward to kind of
Yeah,
accept the
that's right.
trophy, and everyone's like, fuck's sake. But we had a good laugh about it, man. And look, that's what it is. You make so many friends, and even doing these 6 shows last year, man, the friendships I got out of this sport are crazy. All my best friends are bodybuilders, bar a few, Liam and Kane and these sort of people. But like, man, all my best friends are within the industry, really.
It's wild how many people you meet. I mean, I've only done the one show, but like I met that many people through just competing once. It was like incredible. So I can't even imagine you competing, what, 30 something times, how many
Yeah.
new faces you meet, how many new friendships you make through in that time. Then you just become close because you're just same-minded, level-minded
It's
people, same goals in life. So it just works out so much better. And you bond a lot better, can have conversations that just make sense to you. They understand you more. So yeah, it's such a good industry for that, for actually making friends.
Well, Tony says it at the start of every show, remember, when we do little athletes meeting, and he's like, he talks about um, other people when you're out for dinner. It's like, surely you can have one shot of alcohol, it's not going to do any difference, or you can have this meal, it's not going to do any difference. Like they don't get it. And I'm not being disrespectful to the average person that doesn't get into bodybuilding, but it's like to get to 6%, it's a complete new world, and it's so unattainable for so many people that, but you and I get it. We get what that feels like at that point, and we get that we can't fuck around with it to a point where, like, I think the worst I've done in this whole prep is I stole one of Huddy's tiny teddies out of his packet, which he wasn't happy about, mind you. It was a chocolate flavor, which is fantastic. But you sort of open them and you're like, then you start biting it and you're like, fuck, if I lose this whole show based off one tiny
I'm
teddy,
Tiny Teddy. What about
jeez,
the thing
mate.
you used to do? What was it? You'd start your prep with like three M&Ms or something and you just run that through till like a few weeks out.
Or like I'm a sucker for a little cherry ripe. Like I love a little
Yeah.
cherry ripe. So I would have that right through from like 25 weeks out, but like I was still losing weight and still getting shredded or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm going to keep that in. I'd rather take out the potato than the cherry ripe. So
You're right.
uh, yeah, or a caramel koala. I'm a sucker for, mate, too. So
Nice.
yeah.
They've ruined them though. They used to be so much better.
Oh really? I haven't had one in a while, eh?
I
Anything caramel, I'm a sucker
had one the
for.
other day and like they're just the quality is shit. They're thin. They just taste different. And I was like, what is going on here? Horrible.
Remember curly whirlies? They were good too.
Yeah. Yep, they were good. They just get stuck in your teeth at school. Well, you probably weren't in school, but for me, I was in school. Yeah, just in my teeth
I
the
still
whole
went to school, mate. We still went to school in 1924. I don't know about you, but
time.
like,
1924. What year were you born?
Hey,
What year were you born?
42. Nah, 85.
42, this guy. Okay,
85.
85. Yeah, okay, sweet. So you were always obviously bodybuilding, so there was no classic. So then when classic first came out, did you jump into that straight away?
Do you know what? I kind of like, because I think it came like really popular around that 2018 in Australia, and I had somewhat retired in
Mhm.
2017. So I was going to go to that, but then obviously Cars and I made the decision, that we wanted to be parents and like young parents, and obviously I wanted to be a young dad, and I wanted to be a dad more than anything. So it was a really difficult time in a way to, I've touched on this before, where it was like I was getting to the peak of my amateur bodybuilding career. I just won the under 100 Vics. I came third in the nationals. It was kind of like my time. So it
Mhm.
was really hard to give that away. But obviously, I was, 32, 33 at the time. And yes, using a lot of enhancements, whatever. And it was a health thing and needed to pull back a bit. But at the same time, like, I just wanted to be a dad, man. So it was like, and, I could have kept pushing. But then what? I would have been an older dad, like the kids wouldn't be here. So it's one of those things like, do you regret it? And I was like, how could I? I've got three of these beautiful little cherubs at home. Like, how could I regret that decision to walk away? So, um, yeah, but I think classic kind of got really popular just as I sort of left it.
Yeah.
And then by the time I came back into classic, because I'd always had those like really good lines to my physique, really tiny little waist and like a nice good V and sweeping legs or whatever, and I could pose. But then as I sort of got older, my muscle changed. It became like really, really dense, really, really hard, really grainy, really vascular. And obviously having some really good conversations with Brett and Tony and Scotty and stuff like that. And people that are like good in the industry, or that have been around a long time was like, I'm just not classic anymore. Like I have classic traits, but the body is just so bodybuildery and like front lat spread and most muscular are like my best poses. Like, and you don't hit them in classic, So I think what's beneficial now going into bodybuilding is that I can kind of bring a bit of a classic flair to that division, so to speak, and still pose really well, but um, be a bit more of a hardcore bodybuilder. The only thing now that I'm struggling with is like, I've had this chat before, but like in the off season, I eat 6.5, 7,000 calories, and I just don't grow. Like I do, but I just kind of stay where it is. So let's say I'm doing the under 100 division now. I'll probably be on stage at, I'm hoping like 97, 98 this year, but you're up against guys that are sort of like maybe up to my shoulder height that are 100. So they do carry a lot more of that mass.
Yeah.
So we'll stick to my guns or my weapon, so to speak, which is conditioning. I'm always going to be in condition. I think that's all you can sort of hope for, really, and just hope that that kind of, I guess, stands above sort of the others. But again, like I said earlier, it's as long as I beat me, I really don't give a fuck, man. So I do this. I don't do this to become a pro. I don't do this to make a lot of money. God, if anything, bodybuilding makes you broke, as we know.
Yeah.
But um, I love this so much, man, and it gives me so much peace and happiness and joy to compete and perform. And obviously, I love performing on stage and um, doing all these little routines and have some fun with it. And at the end of the day, if I can just beat Brian Underwood of the previous show, like I said before, it's all I can control, man.
Oh, exactly right. How long did you take off between when you had your kids and then your next show after that? Was that a few years?
Yeah, man, that would have been so 2017 end of that season. So season B is when I stepped away, and then I came back season B 2022.
Okay,
So
quite a few
essentially
years.
4 or 5 years, and that was 3 years natural too.
Jeez. And what was that look like? What was that look like compared to the 2017 show?
Fucking horrible, bro. No, wait, the 2022 look.
Yeah, the 2022.
Um, I think my condition was up there, just size, man. But then like the size and shape just wasn't exactly there. I was about 94 on stage instead of 99. So it was a big difference. But then now, like as it's progressed, it's like I'll be a kilo or two lighter than that 2017 version we spoke of, but you've
Just
seen me
dense.
pose lately. I've sort of
Yeah.
kept it hidden recently, but the quality, man, is so much
Yeah,
better than what it was.
just
I look
dense.
rounder, I look tighter, and the legs are bigger, and the adductors are bigger. And I've really kind of looked at over the last few years, like as opposed to just training hard, I've really looked at the artistry of it, if that makes
Mm.
sense. And like, what are my weak points? What do I need to do? Arms have always been a strong point for me, so they get hit like either once a week or once a fortnight. I'll do a hard arm session. The rest is just I'm doing my doing my vaginas, my adductors and hip thrusts and stuff twice a week, man. And like you can really see on the like the front lat spread and the rear lat spread where you don't have that like box gap. Do you know what I mean? Like your adductors and inner thighs are sort of half rubbing together, which does
Touching.
make that shot look so much better. So that was something Geordie said to me, Geordie Birchler, where he's like, just dude, inside. And I remember just legs with him one day and I did that and they really started to respond. So again, it's one of those things, right? Like I've been in the industry a hell of a lot longer than Geordie, but I still learnt a lot off him. Do you know what I mean? So you learn off every man. And even Jackson, like we were doing some posing and me posing's my jam, man. And I sort of like I don't think I'm the best, but I think I'm pretty good.
Oh yeah.
And we were having a bit of a pose and Jackson's what, 24, 25. He's done one competitive season and I've done 30, and he picked me up on a couple of poses and I'm like, oh my god, my physique looks so much better there. So I
Mm.
still need that eye, man, and I'm still learning off guys that are half my age. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No,
think
there's
it's
no
important to be
always.
humble about that and not think
Yeah.
that you've always got it sorted out. You've never really got this sport figured out. That's what I love about it too, man.
Yeah, it's always good to expand your knowledge. But one thing people always try to chase is something you've got, which is just that dense muscle that you have, and everyone just always tries to like push drugs to try and create that look and get that look. But it's like you just can't rush it. It's only going to come with time, as you can tell. Like you've done it for that long, and now after so many years of doing it, you've got that like when I see you pose, like it's just dense, chiseled, hard,
Yeah.
shaped. You can take as many drugs as you want. If anything, it's going to make the look worse. You just can't rush it. So.
No, it's definitely a longevity sport. And that's why, again, man, like now, like um, being 40 this year, best I've ever looked and best I've ever felt, man. And I've still not pushed the drugs past what I sort of, or what I need to. Do you know what I mean? It's never past a certain point that I put myself in jeopardy. And, Scotty and I are always really diligent with our blood work and everything. And the last blood stuff I gave him, like, this is the best I've ever seen you. So it's not, if anything, like our liver enzymes are a little bit high as they normally are with most bodybuilders, but that could be getting the blood test post leg session. So those sort of markers are inflamed. But
Yeah.
like we joked about it and said, dude, you're Captain America right now. Your bloods are freaky. I'm like, great. So it's like
Beautiful.
things are good, man. So that's all I care for. And at the end of the day, remember, those three babies of mine are everything, man. So like I would never want to do anything to jeopardize that. If it got to a point where it was like, hey, you really have to like stop competing and come off and do this sort of stuff, I'm like, okay, cool. It wouldn't bother me
Yeah,
because my kids are everything, man.
exactly right. Scotty actually made me laugh the other day. I think it was yesterday. He posted a story of him walking around on his cruise wherever he is, and he's got like sick dad bod. And I messaged him like, "Man, you're in great shape, for your age." And he goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "I'm really slack with my training and nutrition, but I'm very smart with my drug choices." And I'm like, "No, so I see you training hard early in the morning, Scotty."
Yeah, those
Uh,
BCAAs are working well. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, he's looking great. He looks really, really good. But yeah, man, one of your strongest things for sure is your posing. And was your job always within this industry, even when you were competing like 2017, or were you doing something else? Because you haven't been like you weren't coaching and posing coaching from then, were you? Because I actually have no idea.
not the posing coaching, but like I was PTing from
Okay.
2007.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I didn't
So
know that.
yeah, I was working at a gym as like receptionist sort of thing from 2005 to 2000, late 2006, and then 2007. Yeah, I came across this opportunity because my girlfriend at the time was living in Melbourne and she was doing like fashion stuff, and I was sort of going up to see her, and I just went to a gym one day and then I just started asking questions, and it was Collins Street Fitness first and
Where were you from?
um, Bendigo.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Bendigo and Geelong originally, but Bendigo was sort of that high school years. And then
Yep.
obviously I was just traveling up to see her and stuff. And then, yeah, I sort of had this little mock interview at Collins Street Fitness first. And then I came back and spoke to Dad, and I was like, I think I want to move to Melbourne. And he's like, okay. So Dad gave me $1,000, pretty much moved to
Nice.
Melbourne the next week. Um, and I paid him back within about 4 days because I'd sold a couple of like, 5, 10 session packs or whatever. And paid him back, and the rest is history, man. I just started my business at Collins Street Fitness first, and I think I broke the record in the first month for the amount of sessions that anyone had ever done there, which was, I think I'd already built up to 27 clients in like a month.
There you go.
Um, and then, yeah, I sort of was doing that for about 8 years or whatever, and then I went to Doherty's. I was training at Doherty's from 2005, so digress
Right.
slightly. This is my 20th year being a part of Doherty's gym, um, but sort of coaching out of Doherty's gym from 2015, and then it was really only around that when I made that comeback around 2022 was when I started doing some posing coaching and stuff, and it was only really. I think a few people were like, "Oh, can you teach me how to pose?" And it's like maybe there's something to this, and then you sort of not many people were teaching it, and the ones that did, with all due respect, weren't teaching it overly well. So I think it's one thing to be able to pose well on stage, but to be able to make someone else pose well, that's another thing. It's the
Oh,
same
yeah.
thing when you're prepping a client. Like you might be able to prep yourself really well, but can you prep someone else? Because what works for your body doesn't work for others. So when I'm trying to teach someone how to pose, you know, it's like when I was teaching you, like, and that's how you and I met and became lovers. Sorry,
Right.
friends. Um, but when you came to me first, like you couldn't move. Your
Mate,
flexibility was horrible. Like
I was
you
fucked.
weren't the most graceful person on the planet. So like me to teach the lovey romantic flow style that I sort of have combined with that power, it just wasn't going to happen straight away. So I had to adapt to what you could flow to and what you can move to, and even somewhat have those emotional conversations to sort of go, I want you to think about this when you pose. Like, have you ever been hurt? Have you ever been in love? Like, what's the thing that gets you emotional? Because that's how I pose. I think about either pain or love. I don't think about my kids when I pose. I either think about hurt
Mhm.
or I think about other happy, lovey feelings or this sort of stuff. And then I just like listen to the music. And that's why like I pose to Celine Dion and fucking Mariah Carey and this sort of stuff
Yeah.
sometimes because I can really like flow and feel that sort of
It
stuff.
feels,
But
yeah.
then other times that power stuff comes in too. So I think at the end of the day, like everyone that I've worked with posing wise is very different. Like I'm working with Bryce at the moment. You know, Bryce, he's 22 and he's
Posting.
like 110
Yeah.
kilos. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like, and he moves well, but like he's such a big dude. Like I'm not going to get him on the floor doing that lovey-dovey stuff that I do because the physique's not like that. So I just want to pose him slow, pose him correctly, but also at the same time because he's so big. Like I want to be powerful. I want
Mm.
to be powerful and aggressive with his posing to because
Mhm.
he's a big 22, 23 year old. I want to display that. Um, Whereas someone who else have I got? Someone like Dave Philippi, who's he's doing classic or whatever. He's a bit older like me, but at the same time, like he can move quite well, and he's got a really good vacuum. So like I'm just gonna like work on that with him and stuff. So it's about trying to develop that individual style to best suit them.
Yeah, 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 of course. It makes sense because I remember the first time I came and saw you for posing, like it was a posing session, of course, but we started getting into like conversations about non-bodybuilding related stuff, about emotions, feelings, and I was like, wow, he's a really nice guy. Like, we're having a really good conversation. Have became really close anyway. But then
Yeah.
it made sense because it was like, yeah, the posing now, I'm really using these emotions to really get into like the mindset to pose. And then it
Yeah.
ended up into us actually becoming very, very close just through those conversations, and then seeing you like quite frequently. But yeah, it makes sense. You do need to get into your emotions to do it well.
Well, this is also a thing where like you could look at it as a technique on my behalf because it's like at the end of the day, you've never done a show. You're coming to see me. Regardless of that, I'd done X amount of shows at the time. Big, bald, bearded, sleeve tattoo guy. There's a bit of intimidation there. So you're coming here and you're posing for the first time with someone that's like quite a bit of a veteran at it. You're going to be
Mhm.
nervous. So like a
Yeah.
lot of the time, like whether it's technique or not, I'm selling it. Like I want you to be really comfortable because at the end of the day, you're getting down in your jocks in front of me and flexing.
Yeah.
So it's like I need this guy to calm down. I need him to feel comfortable. I need him to trust me
And it
that
worked.
I can help him and that like, hey bro, I'm just a fucking normal dude like you. Like I'm no different. I'm no special and I love training. I love my kids. I love hanging out with people and all this sort of stuff. So it's like I'm no different to you. So every time you came and posed, there was this feeling that you were very comfortable around me because, we struck up a friendship, yes, but at the same time, then if you did really well in posing, I'd tell you. But if you fucked up, and I'm like, dude, that was shit. Do it again. You're not going to go, oh, this guy hates me. You're going to be like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I know it's coming from a place of love or care or friendship, and then you can develop whatever you need to develop alongside that.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny you say that. I was talking about this with Anthony in the last podcast. It's that everyone that's like not a bodybuilder or just new to it, they look at the big bodybuilders as like some big arrogant assholes. But I reckon 90% of them are like yourself and like myself are just big cuddly teddy bears who are just so loving and just like lifting weights, being friendly, loving, caring. But like you see us train and people think like, yeah, this cunt's just an aggressive asshole.
Well, we are when we need to be, right? Like we can be
Yeah.
alpha motherfuckers that can choke you out and elbow you in the temple and squeeze your throat if we need to, but it's a switch. And
Yeah.
it's like I'm about to do a hack squat, come slap me in the face, but at the same
Mm.
time, then it's like you have a hug and or whatever in between sets. We
Yeah.
joked about it the other day. It's the only sport that's okay to look at another man's ass and go, "Damn," you know.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm
Yeah.
like, "Fuck! Look at his glutes. I can't wait for him to turn around and have a look at this. Damn! Look at that. Look at his inner thigh and his adductor's really coming in. His hamstring sits right up his ass. It's fantastic, you know."
That rear shot is
So
fucking unbelievable.
yeah, I know, but it's just like fuck. People must look at us and go, "What are you doing,
What's
man?
wrong with
You're
you, cuz?
shaving your body with all this fucking shaving cream, and you're putting tan on and teeth whitening and all this sort of stuff, and then you're dancing on stage to Celine Dion. What are you guys fucking doing?"
No one understands it unless they're part of it.
Oh, mate, absolutely.
With your posing, did someone teach you sort of how to pose, or did you sort of teach yourself?
Bit of both. One of my early inspirations. Do you know Lucky Hatzipantelis?
Yeah, big boy, massive, massive dude. Yeah,
Just fucking all legs, mate. He's a beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful human. And he was actually one of my first coaches when I was 24. He was 23. So we actually competed in the same show in 2005 for the first time. He
Okay.
was in teenage, I was in junior, and he pretty much like wiped the floor with most people. Um, but I just loved how he posed, and he was a really cool dude. Just having a chat with him about some things, and then he was really posing to a lot of the like opera style stuff, which I really enjoyed. A lot of like this sort of thing that you see me do now, like really open hands and everything. And I just sort of watched him, and um, but I always had that confidence on stage and that theatrical ability to perform. I don't know where that came from, to be honest. I think I just really liked, I don't know, arrogance aside, the attention. I kind of liked the
Mhm.
attention on stage, and I kind of liked like performing and putting on a bit of a show and making people smile or think twice or go, oh wow, that's different, just causing a bit of a reaction, whether it be good or
Mm.
bad. I sort of joke about it with like I don't joke about it with John Cena. I'm just not like I'm on first names with John Cena, but like he causes the reaction. So whether when he wrestles or whatever, either you love him or you hate him. I'm not saying people hate me or love me, but it's like you're causing a reaction, whether it's like, oh, I really like that, or I didn't like how he did that. So it's not just like in nobody, if that makes sense.
Some controversy.
Um, but yeah, Lucky was one of those guys I really looked at. Never really got posing coaching off him, but like I PT'd with him for about 10 weeks. He taught me a lot of really cool stuff. Made me cry on one of our leg sessions one day. And he's like, why are you crying? I was like, I don't know. I think it just really hurt. But at the same time, I think it was the realization that at the time I thought I was training hard. And then when I did legs with him, it's like, holy shit, like I gotta elevate myself to another level. So this is why I've always been really advocate on, working with a number of different people in the industry because you sort of like you level up. And I remember again, I did a leg session with Scotty one day, and all we did was squat, leg press, and leg extension, and I was fucked. It
Yeah,
was so simple, but it was just the most basic stuff
yeah,
done really, really well. Anyway, I digress. The other ones, like I love watching Bob Paris pose. You know, Bob Paris,
yeah.
really old school again, loving emotional sort of stuff. Love watching him. Kevin Levrone, like on stage, I used to love watching him and still do. I like watching Lee Labrada, but they're two different styles. He's very fast and does a lot of floor work, and I can't move that fast to it. I'd like to, but I also don't think it suits me. So um, Bob Paris, Kevin Levrone, um, they're the two that I really like because I like how Kev does a lot of this sort of stuff and he sort of like spins around slowly and then hits those big shots. He was my favorite physique of all time, absolutely. But yeah, Bob Paris is one that I really loved watching pose. And was there any others? Oh, you could say Ed Corney, but it was a bit not quite Ed Corney. I'd say Bob Paris was sort of that main one for me.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Because
Looking
yeah,
dude too,
well,
man.
it
Good
shows
looking.
that like because you're obviously like well, probably not obvious to everyone who hasn't seen you pose or compete before, but you're probably one of the best posers at the moment going around. And it's not like anyone's taught you specifically. You just go by just watching people and just learning off the internet, watching things. That's people just need to crack into it because you see a lot of. I mean, I can't speak for myself. It was my first show, but like you still see like guys who have competed so many times, they still pose pretty poorly.
Yeah.
It's like you just gotta just
Well, I
watch.
would say less. It's sort of like, no, 100% agree with you. It's like, I wouldn't say poorly, just less optimal because people
Yeah,
still
sorry,
get
not
it at
poorly.
any
Let's still
time.
look great, of course.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from though. But again, like, so two things. I fucking love it. really love posing, man, because it's like I've said to you before, it's meditation for me. I've been through some shit in the last couple of years, and it's like when I pose, I think about nothing but posing, man. And it's like it's such a beautiful meditation for me. I sometimes cry at the end of it. I sometimes smile at the end of it. I might sit in a heap of shit at the end of it, but it's just me. It's just me and my posing time. But at the same time, you see me in that room every day.
Yeah,
Every
literally
day
every
I
session.
am
Yeah,
posing or doing a routine or fucking around with flow. So when someone and I'm so grateful and humbled by it when someone's like, oh my God, man, like you post so well. It's like, yeah, but there is a lot of hours that
mm,
have gone into this sort of practicing and posing sort of stuff. So, and again, it's like anything, you master something, and I don't want to say I've mastered it because you never master anything, but it's the amount of hours I've spent in that room and worked on stuff. And I would just play a song and I'll be like, that's cool. Wonder if I can move to that. And then I'll just move to it. I don't even have a routine. I'll just play that song and just feel it and start to pose and move. And I'll be like, well, that's cool. I might do a twirl here. And then now every time I hear a song, I'm like, can I pose to that? It's like, no,
yeah.
right. It's down with the sickness from Disturbed. You can't really pose to that. It's like, hey, I could make that work. I
Yeah.
could still make that work. Wow. Yeah.
I saw a video yesterday from Terence Ruffin, and he was saying, because he's obviously one of the greatest
Yeah,
posers,
he's great.
Olympian stuff.
Yeah.
And he was just saying, like, he's like, people ask how long you should be posing and practicing, and he goes, literally every single day. He goes, if you want to be the best at something, you gotta practice. It doesn't just come by doing it once a week or once a month. And he goes, after every post workout, I'm off season, I'll do like 3 rounds. In prep, I'll do like 5 up to 10 rounds. He goes, I'll
Yeah.
do it in the morning, I'll do it at night every day. He goes, you just got to practice. And and what I was trying to get at before as well is like you see guys who look unreal, massive, lean, chiseled, great physique, but then they hit their poses and of course it's fine and it's great, but it could be so much better, which could make them look a lot better. And it's like they put so much effort into their physique to look unreal as what they do, and then they pose and it just sort of takes away from that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, remember one of those cues I gave you was like, if you're training chest, you should be hitting, let's say you do chest and you do 4 exercises and it's like 4 working sets and it's you should be hitting 20 side chest shot every session
Hmm.
in between your set. Chest is pumped. Hit the shot,
Yeah.
hold there for a sec, look in the mirror and go, what if I up my shoulder here? What if I turn this that way? What if I curl this? What if I do that? What if my chin's up? And it's like, oh, I like that. Let's see if I can hit it again. So it's just you're always practicing, man. But that's where that fun thing is. And like I said, it might come across looking arrogant for us bodybuilders that we're always posing in front of a mirror. But yes, I'm not going to lie, we're somewhat admiring the physique, but at the same time, it's our job. Like it's our
Learning as well,
sport, it's
yeah.
our athlete. We're like, what
Practicing.
position can I get myself in here? Yes, I'm like, cool, I look great, but at the same time, it's like with my lat spread, what if my hands are a bit lower, or what if my chest is higher? Maybe I'll just flex this more, or whatever. Oh no, don't do that. That looks shit. Do this. That looks cool.
And who cares what people think, man? I used to be really scared of like going in a singlet at the gym and all that kind of stuff. But now it's like the good thing is at Doherty's though, no one's really judgy. Everyone's very, very chill. So it does help. There
Helps
are
when you're
some
120 kilos like you two, mate. No one's going to pick on you.
yeah, but when you're younger, you get a bit scared to go in a singlet well, I mean, I didn't take my top off in the gym, of course, but like, I mean, if someone's in prep and they take their top off and they're just posing in the mirror in the middle of the gym, I'd be like, fuck, that's sick. I'd not do my set just to watch them. But like back in the day, if I was to do that, I'd think, oh, I'm a bit scared to do so. But it's like, who gives a fuck what people think? I just wish we could record our sets. I love recording my sets just so I can re-watch it the next week and just see how my set went before I do my next one. So
Yeah,
that's the one thing I wish we could do a little bit more at Doherty's because again, back in the day, I'd never record anything. Once I started recording my sets, I'd go into a set the next week and watch it and be like, okay, I could have gone that extra rep or two. I did pussy out a little bit, and I'll do my set this week, and then bang, I'd improve. So that's one thing I wish we could do a little bit more. But I think Tony's getting a little bit chill with that. Like, he doesn't mind people filming stuff as long as you don't have this big ass tripod
yeah,
blocking everyone's way, which is completely fair enough.
100%, man. Agree.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so yep, bro, your posing coaching has been taken off really, really well, which has been
yeah. I
fantastic.
think I've got maybe 7 guys into this show, 6 or 7
Yeah,
guys into
every
this show
season
now,
you
which is
seem to
good.
have more and more people, which is really good.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's also one of those things. I understand at times, like during a prep, you're paying a prep coach, and you're paying for gear. It can get expensive and stuff, which I understand that sometimes. That's why, like, I don't you don't necessarily need to do like every week. If it's that's something you can budget in, you can budget in. You did every week for a while and then sort of
Yeah.
started to taper off as, work drops off or whatever. But I think it's also like, if you have the ability to do it, it's something that weekly is good because you are having that regular check-in. Bryce is doing every week with me now and he's getting better and better every time, man, because you don't forget it. Dave's doing every week at the moment. I got a new guy, Jack, that's doing every week and he's even training with me now as well. So it's like he was one of Scotty Slayman's clients too.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's good, man. And look, it's really nice when you have other people refer you to. And I'm like, oh, where have you heard about me? And it's like, oh, Scotty Slayman told me you were the best. I was like, oh, fuck, that's cool. Or,
Yeah.
oh, Scotty Goble referred you here, or Jude referred you there, or whatever. So it's nice to have a little bit of that reputation. I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, work my ass off to earn that kind of spot.
Yeah, of course. Well, I remember when I was competing, I did, Michael had like a bit of a workshop for his competitors, and there was quite a few of us. There's probably in the room at that time, maybe 20, 30 people. Even some non-competitors were in there he was coaching. He had a big whiteboard going over, it was all first timers in there. He was doing a big, like it was a couple of hours talking about the process, what to expect, because everyone in there had no idea what was going on. And then there was a list of like posing, and the first one on the list was Ryan Underwood, and I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of him. And Michael put it on there. I don't think Michael had been to you, but he'd heard great things about you, so that's
Yeah,
how I sort of found out about how to
yeah,
get
yeah,
on
good
you. And
cool.
then I
Very
was
grateful.
listening. Yeah, no, it was it's really important. I think I should have done more. Like I was doing every week for a while. I dropped off because I ended up losing my job in prep, and it was a shit show.
Of
But like
course. Yeah.
I think if someone, especially not even just a first timer, anyone, like you said, you're still improving now, 30 years later. So
Yeah.
like, it's always important to, even if you think you know what you're doing, there's always going to be someone that can teach you with their outside eyes what to do better.
It goes up like one of my favorite quotes of all time, and this was going to be like one of the questions I asked you towards the end, but it was like, what's a quote you love to live by, or let's say if someone to I don't know, sort of describe you or whatever it may be, but it's like I like, and you can relate this to bodybuilding, you can relate it to posing, you can relate it to fatherhood, being a husband, being a ex-husband, being all this sort of stuff, but it's like you will never ever be perfect, but if you chase perfection, you will obtain excellence. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, I
And
like
it's
that.
because
Yeah.
I'm never ever going to be the perfect poser ever because what is perfect? It's such a like you might look at me and think I'm a perfect poser, but I'm like, bro, I got fucking nothing. So it's like it's all that perception. But if I try to be perfect, I'm going to be pretty fucking good.
Yeah,
I'm going to be pretty
100%.
excellent at it. I'm
Yeah.
never going to be a perfect dad. Yes, I'll yell. Yes, I'll snap. I struggle with them by myself sometimes. Of course I do, man. They're little babies and I'm by myself. But it's like, well, not by myself. I co-parent with a beautiful ex-partner and we're fabulous. But it's like at the same time, I'll never be the perfect dad. But if I really, really try to be involved and try to mentor them and try to like educate them as best I can, I'm going to be pretty fucking good at it. You know what I mean? I'm never going
100%.
to be the perfect friend. I might fuck up sometimes, but I'm going to be pretty fucking good if I try.
Yeah, that's
So
such a good one, actually.
it's such a powerful quote, man.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I actually really like that. There's so many powerful quotes. And I feel like one thing as well, when you're in prep, all these like meaningful quotes and songs, do you notice they just hit different? They just
Yeah.
have so much more feeling and emotion to them.
I also think as you get older too, man, like you're
Yeah,
still
okay.
13 years old. So like when you're 77 like I am, you've lived. You've lived and you've been through stuff. And again, like, I understand you've been through stuff, I've been through stuff. Like the older you are, I feel you've had just more life experience, right? So different
Sure.
things will resonate with you a lot more. Like different quotes will resonate with you a lot more. Like I said, I recently started speaking with Anth a bit more, where it was like just the philosophy things or the I don't want to say spiritual, but one of my friends at the moment, Jess Spotswood, I'll give her a little mention. But I think you met her one day when she came into Doherty. It's like very, very spiritual with how she talks, and like I really like that way, and we've connected really well. And um, yeah, just having conversations with her, like really, like fuck, that makes sense. And then it challenges your mindset to think beyond what you would normally think about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And it almost like centers your soul a bit more. Sometimes if you're a little bit upset or you're a little bit sad about how life might turn out, you think about something or you hear a quote and you go, how can I relate that to my life or how can I relate that to my current existence? And then you kind of go, fuck, that actually makes sense. Maybe this did happen for a reason, or this door closes, but this door opens. But you have to be badass enough to kick this fucking door down, otherwise it's going to stay shut. So
Yeah.
you've still got to be open to that mindset of I don't know, expanding your brain to the universe, so to speak.
Yeah, of course. Well, the more you live, the more you can relate back to at the end of the day. So yeah, totally makes sense. But I reckon we jump into these fast shot questions.
Yeah, let's have fun. All
Let's
right.
do it.
So
I love doing these.
it's all right, mate. We'll go for it. So what's your go-to post comp meal?
Well, the one that I had, which I was always going to have, was for some reason I was craving burgers. That's just, I'm not really I love burgers, don't get me wrong, but like I don't go out for burgers often. Man, something just made me want burgers. So
Yeah,
they're just good. Burgers and chips, no sugar coke, you just can't go wrong. But then I also had
mine-
sushi after, so a bit of both.
yeah, true. Mine's always, and it has been for seriously about 10 years straight now. It's literally a margarita pizza, spag bowl, and garlic bread. It's the same
That's
every time.
right. You're saying that because you
See,
always
yeah.
start.
It's funny that I can't not do anything else now. It's so ingrained in my head that I feel like I'm cheating on it if I do something else. I'm like, I have to do it.
Good
Favorite
idea.
exercise? You can only pick one.
Favorite exercise,
One.
I can pick one. That's a tough question, hey. One
Yeah.
exercise. Mm. Well, you'd want to pick the one that gives you the most, I guess, nice pump afterwards because it's just the most, it feels good. I think I'm gonna have to go with,
Whether you relate it,
I think I'm gonna have to go with specifics or just like sort of muscle group are you talking?
however you want to do it, bro. It's
One
your
of my
question. You can.
favorite favorite machines I like to use because it just pumps my whole body is the one at Doherty's, the Prime Extreme Row.
Yeah,
The
good.
and like just after when I get off that machine, just everything feels pumped. My arms, my back, just everything just looks like it's blown up. Or it'd have to be some like an incline chest press of some sort.
Yeah. So mine, man, mine, simple low bar squat. Even though I don't do it as much, there's a
Yeah,
few reasons
okay.
behind it. Like it's one of the hardest things to do. So I
Yeah.
like that it's really fucking hard.
Mhm.
Legs pumped, backs pumped, mentally you're pumped, heart rate's fucked. You know you've worked hard. Like it just a basic squat for me, man.
I'm going to add an honorable mention to this one. One that I have not done for a long time, but feels
Forearm
so
curls,
good. Huh?
wrist curls, forearm
No,
curls.
no. Smart ass. I'm going to go with a rack pull.
Yeah, good.
Haven't done them in so long because like I feel like there's probably better exercises to do, but man, they're so fun.
They go right, don't they?
You just chuck like
Um,
7 plates on it and just fucking go for it.
we said this before, but favorite bodybuilder of all time?
So yours was Kevin Levrone?
Kevin Levrone from a physique standpoint,
Yep.
Jay Cutler from everything else. Just what he stood for, what he did for the sport, his
Mhm.
business savviness. He was
Yeah.
one of the first people that really started making money out of it.
I
So
think he's one of the richest bodybuilders ever.
yeah, and obviously longevity. Look at him now; he was still a four-time Olympia, but at the same time, like super healthy and still with it. So,
Mhm.
from a physique standpoint, Kevin Levrone, I think he just had so many freaky things. But from a human perspective, Jay Cutler.
Yeah, okay, nice. Um, Old school wise, I always loved Jay Cutler too. I actually really like Lee Priest, just because he's like, Aussie, just has that don't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah,
Both great, always looked good. So he's one of my favorites. And then new age wise, it'd be rude not to say Chris Bumstead just because like
of course.
he's turned the sport into. So
Yeah,
I sort of started getting into it around the time he started becoming bigger. So like for me, seeing him was always something like fuck, wow.
yeah.
So I have to put him in there for sure.
Favorite book?
Man, I haven't read for a while. I was never a reader
Do
until
audio books or anything?
in prep, I was reading. I read, I think, 2 or 3 books just to keep my mind at ease a little bit. But I read one that was really good. Okay. So this one is probably not going to be everyone's favorite book, but when I was actually getting into just gym, right, I always looked up to Zach Perner. He was just
Yep.
someone I always looked up to, thought I wanted to be
Good.
like him, look like him, everything. So he released a book which was all about like mindset, business, a little bit about training, but it was more so just about mindset stuff and like sort of how to just always better yourself on a day-to-day basis. So I read that and man, I was like a bit of an anxious mess at the time and that got rid of it. So that's like recently one of my favorite. I haven't read since that book, but I read when I was younger and up until then, and that's probably going to be one of my favorite books in terms of like what it actually did to me mentally.
Yeah.
It was
Mine would be Start with Why, Simon
Mhm.
Sinek. Really good book. I'll give it to you. I'll bring it in today. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
not
okay.
finished. I'll bring it in. Exactly what the book title says. Like you can't do anything proper unless you have a reason why you do it. So
Yeah.
even like, let's say if we were to say why are you in shape now or how do you compete all these shows or whatever it may be, like my reasons are a lot more powerful than my reasons not to do it, or they're a lot more powerful than my excuses. So Start With Why is really cool. Really, really cool book. And the other one, like complete opposite to that to a point, is like The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I've mentioned it a few times. I've read it so many
Yeah, I've
times.
heard about this book. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's funny. It's a really good read. It puts things in perspective. It's really simple
Mhm.
with little nuggets and stuff in it. And I think it's one of those things where it's literally what we spoke about before. It goes, who gives a fuck what someone thinks?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Hmm.
In X amount of years, they're going to be dead, or they don't know who you are anyway. You'll have a conversation with them, and it really
Exactly right.
doesn't matter. Or the things that you think are worrying you in your life, when you really knuckle down, it's like, dude, is it really that bad?
Yeah.
So, like, that's the other book I'd highly recommend you have a look at.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard great things about that book. I wish I
Yeah.
got more into books. I've always just been like a movie guy. Whenever I always got spare time to do something, watch a movie. So that's actually going to be your question. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, fuck, mate. That's a toughie. Do you know what? Armageddon's always fun
Hmm?
because I like that kind of hero complex sort of thing. Um, Bruce Willis, Armageddon. What else? Oh, dude, you've got me on the spot there. Good on you.
It's a hard question because there's
It is
just
because
so
there's so
many.
many.
It's all
Like even
different.
Avengers Endgame was great, because that like was the culmination of like 15 years of being a fan. So I don't know. What's yours?
I'm gonna have to say Interstellar, I reckon. Something about that movie. Have you seen it?
Really boring for me. Hey, I don't know.
Really? Well, it's a long
I
fucking
like
movie. It's
the
3 hours long.
cinematography and stuff of it. I think,
Yeah.
yeah,
Look, it's a 3 hour movie. It's a long one. But man, I don't know. Something about that movie just like I've always been so fascinated with space as a kid, and to the point when I was a kid, it
yeah,
actually gave me really bad like anxiety, nightmares. I had to see like therapy because of it. Like I couldn't sleep. And since then, I've always been so scared of space. But then after watching Interstellar, it's like, okay, space is kind of cool when I think about it. So like I
yeah.
watched it again recently with my missus, and then we like recently we've downloaded like these space apps on our phone, and we go outside at night and we can like look in the sky and point out what's
That's
what and look at shit, and it's so fascinating. And I'll just spend like whenever I've got free time, I'll just go on the internet, watch YouTube videos about like space and learn all this shit. Like it's incredible, but
it's
scary.
cool. Eh?
I learned this one thing. I don't know if you saw my post the other day, but all picture the beach, right? Did you see it? I reshared it. I'm not sure if you read it. It's a bit of a long read, but picture the beach, right? Picture any beach in Melbourne. Each little sand, each grain of sand on that beach, right? It's a lot of
You
fucking.
did post that. I remember I saved it because I wanted to have a proper read of it.
It's a
It's fucking
lot
like
of fucking
the amount of
sand, right?
galaxies, like sextillion or some shit like
Bro,
that, or whatever.
so
Yeah.
picture one grain of sand at a beach, right? Now picture all the grains of sand in the whole world. Like that's you can't even picture a number. Apparently, each grain of sand calculates 1 billion planets ever for every grain.
It's
What
fucking
the
stupid,
fuck?
isn't it?
It's like,
But I love that shit too, man, because
yeah,
it shows how insignificant we
we
are
are.
or
Yeah.
insignificant certain things are.
Bro, I read it before bed and I turned off my phone and I'm like, man, I'm not gonna worry about anything ever again. Like I'm going to sleep. I'm done. Like fuck me. It's nuts. So yeah, Interstellar's gonna be one of my favorites, I reckon.
Mate. I've got two more deep questions and then a fast one. So, well, not deep, but this is the funny one because I had to think about it in a way, but who do you text the most? Like, out of anyone on the planet, who do you talk to the most or who do you text the most? I think, like, exclude your girlfriend, though.
Okay, yeah, we'll take her out because she would be number one. Who do I text the most? Now I'll have to say it's Michael just because we work together. But
Yeah.
if we take that work out of the equation as well, I think it would probably be Anthony.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
I think he'd be number one. If you take away Lily and like Michael and work guys, it'll have to be Anthony for sure.
Yeah. So mine's Jeremy from Adelaide, Jeremy
Yeah.
Allison. He's obviously my best mate,
Man,
but
he
it's
looks
like,
unreal at the moment.
he's very special, mate. You fucking watch this
Yeah.
space. I'm getting the cheeky updates that no one else is getting. So I told him to stop sending ass pics though. But he had so like long story short, Jez and I met end of 2023 season. We had both been through some things and we sort of bonded over that. And I remember I introduced myself to him. We've spoken about this before, like he's sometimes a bit shy in approaching people, whereas I'm just like, what's up, bro? You look sick. So I kind of went up to him backstage. We're sort of standing there getting all fucking tanned and in our little socks over our willies while we're getting tanned and shit. This is what I said before about like, how'd you guys meet? Oh, we had socks on our dicks getting
Funny
tanned.
you
You're
say
like,
that because like that's how I met. Do you remember Jamie, the kid that competed against me? He's a bit short. He won the junior.
yeah,
That's how we met, literally at Doherty's getting the tan, and we just knew each other from social media a bit, never spoken, and we both
yeah.
walk out of the tent with our hands covering our balls, and we look at each other like, "Hey, bro," and like fist bump. We're like, "Nice to meet in
Yeah, I know.
person."
It's fucking funny. But yeah, so Jez and I had both been through some personal things or whatever and were going through stuff at the time. And we just started talking and I still went up to him and I said, "Oh, it's Jeremy, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, man." I said, "Congrats on winning the overall in Adelaide." He goes, "Oh, thanks, man." And he's like, "It's Ryan, yeah?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, and he goes, "Congrats on winning Vicks." I go, "Thanks, man." So we're up against each other. And I think he came second and I came fifth or something. And then I think that night I just messaged him. I said, "Dude, really fucking cool to meet you." And I reckon we have literally spoken every single day for 2 years.
Fuck, really?
We video chat, we like send each other videos, like we help each other out. Like it's we formed a really fucking cool bond, man. And it's one of those things where like shit happens for a reason, and it's like we connected that day for a reason. Or and then we joke about it, it's like, what if I didn't actually come up and say hello? Would we still be mates or
Yeah.
have each other Insta or whatever? So yeah, he'd be mine, man.
Well, I'm going to Adelaide for this show coming up to watch it. So I'll be at like the gyms
Yeah,
there the days prior. I'm hoping I see him there just to see what he looks like in person because like
yeah,
he just looks fucking great.
yeah, man.
It'd
He's
be
on.
great to see.
He's
I'll
on.
be seeing him on stage anyway, but sort of like close up, he does. He looks really freaking good.
Yeah. What is your deepest fear?
Deepest fear.
I'll give you mine. One word:
Yeah, you go first.
regret.
Yep, I like that
I
one.
do not want to regret anything.
I was
I
actually
will,
that was one of the
I,
words lingering in my head.
yeah, I will do anything in my power to, if there's something I want, I'll go to try get it. And if I don't get it, at least I'm like, that's cool. I've tried.
Yeah,
That's like I did that thing the other day. It's like no one ever, that post I did where it's like no one ever regretted trying harder.
yeah, of course, 100%,
So
100%. Yeah, I was trying to think of a word, sort of like regret was one of them, but sort of something just like it does literally mean regret, but like just like not doing the things that you wanted to do just because you're like too scared to. So that
yeah.
does sort of like come into the sense of regret. That's what I was sort of getting at. So yeah, regret for sure.
All right. And then last seven, and we can leave it there. So this is like quick fire. So work or play?
Work,
Good. Me too. Love or friendship?
love,
Friendship for me. Money or happiness?
happiness, 100%.
Happiness for me. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Same. Summer or winter?
Let's say winter.
Ooh, summer for me.
Yeah,
Morning or evening?
evening. Oh, you know what? Now morning. Now morning.
Yeah, morning. Or salty or sweet?
Salty.
Yeah, you salty motherfucker. Me
Yeah,
too.
salty for sure.
I used to be sweet, man, and then as I don't know, as I've got older, it's like, what do you want? And you know, whether you want chocolate or cookies, I was like, no, I just want a Vegemite and cheese sandwich, mate.
Yeah, I'm
Or
not.
seven. Yeah,
I don't know. Something about sweets, man. Like I liked them when I was dieting. I'd crave them, but then it's like now it's the last thing I want. Is just
yeah, because you're on 6,000 calories. It's hard when
yeah.
you're
I'm
on that.
actually not. I'm actually my food. It's not low, but it's not Ryan high.
Nothing's
High
wrong.
food.
I'm fucking hell.
I can't believe, bro, how much food you have to eat. It's actually crazy. And it's not like you're doing like copious amounts of activity. Like you're not blasting cardio. You're not doing 30, 40,000 steps a day. It's like your body just chews through this shit like it's nothing.
It does, and I feel like two things. I have a very active lifestyle in a sense. Like I'm still doing 25 PT a week and this sort of stuff. I've got hens
Okay,
parties and
well, there
everything
you
on the
go.
weekend.
Yeah.
I've got three kids, so I am incredibly active, and it's very rarely I'm sort of sitting down. But as well, and this is where like I don't want to sound like a dick when I say this, but like the amount of time I've been training and training hard, and like we spoke about before, I've got that dense hard muscle. It is difficult to put on weight, and I am fortunate, not lucky. I'm fortunate to a point where over my years of dedication to this sport, right now I could go have a pizza and tomorrow still wake up with abs because it's I've put the work in and I've put the
You've earned
time in.
it. And
So,
you don't
you
sound like
know,
a dick. You don't sound like a dick saying that at all because like you've earned that privilege to be this to say that kind of stuff. Because it's true.
yeah,
Anyone that works for something should be proud of what they've done. Like, man, you
yeah.
could eat fucking five pizzas and wake up tomorrow probably.
Yes, mate. Let's try it and see what happens.
Yeah, why not? We can do it.
Well, because I did. So if we just finish off with like this current prep I was talking about. So what are we now? 5.5 hours. Like this is the most I've
Fuck,
kind of.
really? That's gone
I
quick.
don't want to say suffer. It's a horrible word. The most I've felt it in a long time. So that's a good thing because I know I'm in a good position. Um, I think we did another little drop. So I'm down to like 3,200 calories now. And a few people are like, 3,200, that's still so much. I was like, yeah, but 7,000 is my normal. So I'm 50%, oh,
Mm.
sorry, I'm below 50% of my usual.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing as well. Like, people don't understand if you're in stage condition and, like, man, you're nearly there. Like, it's just to a
I'm a
lot of
kilo
people, you
off. I'm
are
about
there.
a kilo
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
For your standard, you still want to pull more, but for like the majority of people, they get to your condition and they're on stage.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're eating 10,000 calories a day for a week when you're that lean, you're still going to be hungry. And that's what people don't understand. It doesn't matter how much you're eating. If you're that lean, no matter what you put inside you, your body's going to keep craving more.
Yeah.
So no
I
matter
think as
what,
well, like even from a coaching perspective, or even like when I say like training like Gen Pop clients, and again, I want to be very clear that I'm not having to dig at anyone here, or I'm just trying to be really like front and specific with it. Where it's like I think people really struggle to lose fat in general is because they are not comfortable being hungry. When you're hungry, it's and like not starving, but just hungry. It's a sign your body's doing the work and
yeah,
it's losing fat.
literally,
So
I
it's
say it
like
to all
I'm
my
hungry
clients.
24/7 right now, but I'm able to withstand that pain. I don't want to say that, but withstand that feeling and read a book or go for a walk or distract myself until my next meal. Whereas when the average person, again, I apologize, Gen Pop, whatever, um, you know, feels hungry, they'll go eat or they'll go snack or they might diet for 3 weeks and then go, this isn't working. And it's like, no, 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 diet for 6. Like it won't be long. You just have to keep pushing through that part. But they sort of do it a little bit. They start to feel hungry. It's like, oh, this sucks. And then they realize that it's like, wow, maybe I shouldn't be doing bodybuilding. Or they might look at someone like you or me on stage and go, I want to be that. I want to be 6%. It's like, no, you don't. It
Mm.
is not fun. And it's like, yes, it's fun for us because we're sadistic as fuck and it's our sport. But um, you know the feeling now of being 6, 7%. It's not healthy and it's not fun. And that's why we're only like that for a short amount of time. So when people see these photos on Instagram, it's like, oh my God, I want to look like that. I was like, I don't think you do.
Yeah, nah.
I don't think you
It's
do.
like what you said with like that thing where it's like when you're hungry, it's working. I say that to all my clients now. Like, it doesn't work exactly this way, but when they say like I'm starving, I say just understand that if it was easy to get lean, everyone would be walking around shredded and muscly, but that's why no one does because it's not easy. But when you're hungry and you're feeling that hunger, just think in your head, okay, that feeling is just because my body's chewing away at the fat. Just leave it as that. And it kind of changes your mindset for someone who's doing it for the first time to like, okay, this feeling's actually a good thing, not
Yeah.
something that's bad, even though it's hard when you first do it. But yeah, if it was that easy, man, everyone would be walking around shredded, six pack,
Yeah.
crazy body. But it's not easy, which is why it does need to take some digging.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, no, you're doing really well. That brings us to about an hour now. But Ryan
Done well.
is very, very close to probably his best showing yet. So everyone, you aren't all fortunate
Probably,
enough.
mate. It'll be the best. Don't worry.
Definitely. No one's fortunate enough at the moment to be able to see what he looks like unless you see him in person. So that's why you're all gonna have to wait until the shows. But I definitely recommend tuning in because it's going to be quite wild. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed it, and thanks to you, Ryan, for jumping on board.
Always a pleasure, my brother. I'll see you real soon.
And mate, see you around. See you later. Alrighty.